Alrighty guys, so we left off on episode 2, finishing up the terrains, and now it's time to get into some programming. So let's get into it. We're going to create a script in here, so you can press the script button or you can right click, attach script. We are going to press this arrow to go out of the current directory, create folder. I like to have a scripts folder. You can store it wherever you want. We are using GD script. That's why the extension is .gd. And we shall, the template is normal node, inherits from node 2D. So yeah, that's why it says extends node 2D, because it's inheriting from this basic node. So when you start off, I'm going to delete the comments and I'll explain it myself. Okay, so you get two functions. This ready function, let's see what happens. You put pass in a function when it's empty. So since we're filling it with a print statement, we don't need the pass anymore. If I write hello here, you'll see that it is run once, as opposed to writing LOL here. It's running many times. You could see it going super quickly. How many times, you may ask? Here in the physics common, physics ticks per second, it is 60. So 60 times a second should be, I don't know. Yeah, so that's basically the difference between these two functions. This is for setting things up. It's run once. And in this process function, you could add some very important game logic that we're going to add in a jiffy. By the way, if you want to understand certain things in the script, you can hold Control and click in, and you'll get a lot of information. So that's very interesting. And then we can click back in the script button to get back to the script. Or if we're here, we can click here and cycle through our scripts. Cool. Also, the ready function, we'll get a description of it, called when the node is ready, when both the node and its children have entered the scene tree. If the node has children, their ready callbacks get triggered first, and the parent node will receive the ready notification afterwards. So basically, if we had a script here, this script's ready function would be triggered first because it's a child. This TileMap is a child of the world. That's basically what it's explaining. You could also come here to the process function and read more about it. And these functions lie in node because remember, we are inheriting from this node 2D. So we get access to these variables in the node 2D and these methods. And much more methods. Alrighty guys, but that's going a little deep. Don't worry if you don't understand it. We're gonna take it easy. Alrighty, so the first thing that we want to do is we want our mouse click to place a tile. So in order to do that, we need access to this TileMap node. And an easy shortcut to get access to it is you can simply drag it in here, but before you release, you hold down the control key and then bam, we have this TileMap variable. And this onReady basically means that it's going to load it. Let's read it. Mark the following property as assigned when the node is ready. Values for these properties are not assigned immediately when the node is initialized and instead are computed and stored right before node ready. So yeah, these are initialized before this ready function is called. So yeah, if I didn't put this here, it would have an error. So the default value is using the $, which won't return nodes in the scene tree before the ready is called. Use onReady annotation to solve this. So basically it would warn you and you wouldn't actually even be able to do that. Okay, so basically if you have like a simple variable, like if I just wanted to have the hello variable to equal hello, that's a string. I don't need to use onReady. It's mostly for loading in these nodes. You always use this onReady. But see, for this simple hello string, I did not need it and it printed hello just fine. If you want to add types to Godot, you could use this colon sign and string. We could say this type is a string. And then if I wanted to make it an integer, it'll say, what are you doing? You cannot assign a type int as string because we called it a string and now we're putting an integer. It's kind of going crazy. We want our mouse click to drop a tile. So first we need to create a custom input for our mouse click. So we're going to go into the project settings, go into the input map. We are going to create our own action. So in this add new action, we're going to write click, and then we'll press enter. And now we have an action here. If you're getting all of this, it's because they're showing the built-in actions, but we want to do our own custom action. So you can uncheck this, and then we'll go to this plus sign, we'll go to mouse buttons, and then the left mouse button. Okay. It honestly, it depends. You could use right mouse click, left mouse click, whatever floats your boat. You could add that. And now we're going to use a new function called input. And this is built in, so it's not like we're creating our own custom function. Okay, and let's delete this process function for now. We're not using it. And we are going to check, we're going to use an if statement. If input is action just pressed, our custom click, I'll just press enter. We'll do the colon, and then we'll print click. You could print whatever you want, but this is just for testing. So this input is an object, and it's a singleton that deals with inputs. This includes key presses, mouse buttons, and movement joypads, and input actions. And it says you can go to the input map, which we did to set it up. So yeah, we're using on this singleton, we're using is action just pressed, and then we're using our custom input. So let's go into the world and let's click, and you'll see that the click is showing, and it's doing it once. So if we look at is action just pressed, returns true when the user starts pressing the action, meaning it's true only on the frame that the user pressed down the button. Alrighty, but what we want is when we press, we want to set a tile. And that's actually not as hard as you might think it is. But we want to open this documentation. So you could either control click in here or come to the TileMap node, right click and open the documentation. And we are looking for a special function, and it is set cell. Okay, so we're gonna come in here and we want to set the cell when we click. So we're gonna access our TileMap node, and if I write, so it's actually showing me the functions inside. If it doesn't show, it's best to tell Godot the type that this TileMap is, and it is TileMap type, and then we want to write set cell. Alrighty, so now it's asking us for all of these properties. First and foremost, the layer. So honestly, it can get very confusing when you have a lot of layers. We want to use this ground layer. I think it's best to have variables for all your layers so you don't get messed up. So we're going to write var ground layer equals 1, because if we come here, water is 0 and ground is 1. So here we're going to put the ground layer. We'll do space. If you're not seeing what the next variable is, like right now I don't see it, you can hit control space bar and it'll come up. So now this is the coordinate where the tile is going to be placed, and we want it to be placed in the mouse position. So let's get the mouse position before we put it in here. So we're gonna do var, and we're gonna write mouse position, and there's a function that we can use, and it's get global mouse position. And if we click into this function, first of all, it inherits from the node, which is why we're able to use it here. Cool. Okay, but the problem with this variable is our TileMap does not want the global position. It wants a special tile position. And I will show you the difference in these positions. So first off, let's print. So we'll print mouse position. There's a comma here, and it allows me to print it like that. And you'll see that it returns these very precise floats, vector 2 with 2 floats for the X and the Y position. So within one tile, 16 by 16 tile. There are many different positions, but this TileMap function only wants the tile position. So in order to convert this global position to a tile position, we have to use a function inside this TileMap. And that function is local to map. And it returns a vector 2i. So this is a vector 2 with two floats, and a vector 2i is a vector with integers. So it returns the map coordinates of the cell containing the given local position. You'll understand when you see the difference in how they look like. So TileMap, local to map, we're going to put this mouse position in here, and then we'll name this var local tile mouse position. Okay, and now let's print. And so you could see it gives the tile position, and it's much cleaner. There's not a million different points within one tile. You see, like within this tile 5.2, there are all of these points, and the TileMap set cell function does not want that. So here, control spacebar if you want to bring up what properties it's asking for. It wants this tile position. Let's control K to comment these out. And the next variable it wants is source ID. So we're going to write var source ID equals 0. And I know that it equals 0 because if we come to the TileMap and we go to tile set tab, you see it's 0 here and here too. That is the source ID. So we'll write source ID and then the atlas coordinate. So this is what tile you want. If I want to place a tree, it would be atlas coordinate 9, 0. Let's place a seed, which is atlas coordinate 11, 1. And for those of you paying attention, what do we use? Do we use a vector 2 or a vector 2i? So pause the video if you want to think about it. Okay, var atlas coord, and it is a vector 2i because it is two integers and it's not a float, and it's 11, 1. And if you want to write the types of these, you could do vector 2i int. We could see what this returns if we come here, control click, and you can see that it's returning a vector 2i. Same here, control click, this is returning a vector 2. It's good to add the types if you want to be type safe. Okay, and for the alternative tile, we don't need that, so you could just leave it blank. And now let's see if it sets our cell. Remember, it's setting it when we click. So it is in fact setting the cell, but on the wrong layer. So we don't want it on the ground layer. We want it on the environment layer, which is 2. And you could look at your layers here. And remember 0, 1, 2. So switch that up. Control S to save. And we could set the seeds everywhere. That's not what we want. So we want to only be able to set our seeds on these dirt tiles. And that's where custom variables come in. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining the Patreon, where I release demo and source code for the projects, behind the scenes, and get early access and your name in the Godot book I'm working on. I also stream game development on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.